I'm Britt. I am the team lead of She Moves Philly. I have a business partner, Brittany Nettles, and together we have a $35 million real estate team. We've been partners just over 2 years now, but we've been both licensed and practicing real estate for 4 years. So you guys feel free to talk if you want or have questions as I go through this. Otherwise, it's going to be boring and me just clicking through slides. But the topic of the class today is lead generation. To build a $35 million real estate team in 2 years, we do pretty good at lead. Our staff is very, by that I mean, like, we're not paying for leads. We don't really do a lot of like paid advertising or marketing in that traditional sense of paid marketing. A lot of ours is referral based. Organic relationships that we've created through online vehicles, business actually. Like from Instagram. And that, what we do is more than just the transaction. It's the hospitality, it's the service. It keeps us above board. And the reason I'm telling you all of this stuff is because it really plays into how you lead generate and how you get yourself going. You really need to understand what your mission and vision are as an agent, even if you're a solo agent, because that really helps you refocus when you start to lose focus. Here's just some clients we've worked with. So I have 10 steps. These are in order. They can get mixed up, but for real, like, the biggest piece is always start with why. I think if you've taken any KW class, they talk about this literally all the time, about knowing your big why and why you're in real estate. It's really important, and I'll break it down in the next slide. Then you want to define your audience. It's kind of like, when you don't have a defined audience, it's like the spray and pray method, right? Where you just like spritz some water and figure out where it lands. And you have to be a little bit more defined and targeted when you're picking who you're going to go after in your business. And then once you have that down, you develop ways to generate leads based off that demographic and that model. And then you want to become a trusted expert. You need to use your CRM. You want to seek reviews, be consistent, add value, experiment and test all of your lead genning processes, and then start with the end goal first, which, it's funny I say that, but then put it at the end. I'll explain why when I get there. So I'm going to just dive in. You don't have to like memorize this. I'll break it down on all the slides. Okay. So start with why. We're big fans on She Moves Philly of Simon Sinek. If you haven't read any of his books or watched any of his stuff, he has a really great TED Talk on that called Start With Why. Gary Keller is really big on the big why. And, a lot of it sounds very rah-rah, and I had a hard time buying into that in the beginning. But if you know why you're doing what you're doing and being honest with yourself about what your why is, it's really easy to kind of start with that in mind and kind of break everything down from there. So, for me, my why is my family, and building, kind of a legacy portfolio to be able to sustain my family and have more time with them. So what that means to me is selling enough homes to create enough leverage, to buy enough properties, to create enough passive income, to step away from day-to-day sales. That's my why, and that's kind of why I'm in real estate and what I'm doing. Real estate is just my vehicle for that plan, right? Like, it could be in any kind of sales role or any kind of job or business, but if you know your why, you can kind of break your goals down really into attainable pieces and chunks and kind of work backwards from there. And whenever you feel lost in what you're doing, or feel like things aren't working, you kind of come back to your why and refocus. If your why today is to pay for, I don't know, your kids' private school tuition, well, then maybe you take some transactions that you're not super excited about because you're just looking for that dollar value, right? Or maybe your why is to pay off a student loan, and you know that that's not your forever, but right now that's your why. And so maybe you do 5 more rentals a month to be able to make, 3 extra payments, 4 extra payments on your student loans. I don't really know you guys, but I imagine, you're all in different points in your life, so your whys are probably very different. But knowing why you're selling and what makes your business unique are really important. Yes, we all know we're selling houses, but why? Why are you doing it? Is it, to help families build legacy wealth? Is it to really focus on military families who are relocating? Knowing your why really helps with the lead gen down the road. You want to think about your niche, right? Like, yes, we could very easily say we sell houses, so we work with buyers and sellers. But if you can really boil it down to who your buyer is, who your seller is, where your target neighborhood is, what price point, all of that stuff can really help in lead generating. And why should people do business with you over another agent? If you can figure out your value proposition and be very honest about what that is and not grandiose about it, then you can really start to narrow down your focus. So I talked about this a little bit, but defining your audience. Yes, we talk about demographics, but there's also psychographics. So the demographics are the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, age, location, all of that kind of stuff. Once you get those things, you can drill down a little further into where do they like to eat? Where do they like to shop? Where do they hang out? What hobbies and interests do they have? How to reach them and get involved? How do you get in front of them once you have all that information? But the psychographics are a little more next step. And that's really talking about what motivates them, right? Like, what is their why? And if you can figure out their why, depending on who you're targeting, will help you really focus that lead generating goals and really figure out where to put your time and energy. It's always good to reach, but to make sure you start with something that's attainable, to get some early wins and build up confidence. So the reason I point that out is, sorry, I'm having some difficulties with my throat. SMART goals are really important, and they're obtainable goals that they're small and achievable. And the reason you want them is like to get the early wins, so you build up confidence to be able to keep going after a little bit more. So for instance, when I started in real estate, I kind of took anything that came my way. And I think a lot of people do when they start in real estate, because you don't know if maybe you are changing careers and you have a huge, art audience because you were in the arts world before. Me, I was in tech. So I really focused on my tech community and what their needs were. So a lot of my business came from my previous tech world experience. So I knew who those people were. I knew where to find them. I knew what groups they were involved in. So it made that kind of transition easy because I was already in that sphere. If you're starting out from scratch and you don't have a sphere, maybe you just relocated here or something like that, then start with things that interest you. If you can be authentic and really care about what you're getting involved in, it comes off that way, right? If you aren't into, I don't know, art, and you decide to go after that demographic for whatever reason, you have no clue what the hell you're talking about. It's not authentic, and it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel weird for you. It's going to look weird to them. So really start with things that you're actually interested in. If you don't have already have a sphere of influence to work through. And then we lead gen. So once we figure out who those people are, we start to go after them. So you go after the target audience, you join the groups that they join, you focus your marketing efforts on the groups, the restaurants, the locations that they're at. You try to learn their online and offline behaviors, and you make the calls. A lot of lead gen is doing things that people don't like. I think if you read any book in real estate, they talk about cold calling and door knocking and yawn. I hate those things. Like, I literally hate those things, and I've never done them. I don't cold call, and I don't knock on doors. Maybe I'll knock on a door if I have a cool open house coming up, just to let the neighbors know. And I do call past clients that I've sold to in specific areas to let them know I have things coming up if they know anyone looking to move to the neighborhood. That's about the extent of my cold calling, if you will. But what I do is have a lot of social engagement. So I know, like, for us, our platform with She Moves Philly is very social platform, social media driven. So I get up in the morning and I spend 10, 15 minutes going through both my account and our She Moves account, commenting on stuff, not just liking, but like commenting and engaging with people on their stuff and messaging people privately about, oh my God, I saw you did X, Y, and Z. And have you tried this? Or this new restaurant's coming. And those kind of authentic engagements is really what has drummed up a lot of business for us. For us, our lead gen is also our newsletter. We send it out twice a week. We kind of really get focused on our posts. So we have like themes and post about the market regularly. We post about, things we're eating, drinking, places to go. Obviously that's changed a little bit with COVID and then all the everything else going on. So, but we really try to immerse ourselves in that and really go for it. You can't just like dip your toe into your lead generating. You have to like jump in full force. When you dip your toe, you don't really know if it's going to work. A lot of people try something once and say, this isn't for me, or I didn't get anything from it, and stop. It really takes a significant amount of effort, repeated effort, to be able to see any kind of return on your investment and your time. So social media, people who are engaged in social media really like to be engaging in comments and likes and messaging and stuff like that. If your demographic, you find them on forums, then they're probably more research driven, more analytical. And LinkedIn, they're probably looking for more network opportunities. So based off the demographic that you've set in the previous slide, you kind of meet your people where they are. And that's the biggest piece, right? Like, I probably couldn't tell you if someone's forum driven and analytical, like what they're going to like. But if that's what you're into, then you get on those forums and you comment and engage and interact with them there and provide value there. If it's social media, you meet them there and provide and engage and add value there. If it's LinkedIn, maybe you're going to more networking. Maybe you're hosting networking opportunities to be able to bring more people together. And real estate always comes up, right? I think there's a fun saying, like, don't be that undercover agent. What that means is, like, don't hide that you're a real estate agent. Also, don't be that like weird person at the party that the first thing out of your mouth is, hey, I'm Britt McLaughlin, I'm a realtor. Are you looking to buy or sell a house? Like, that's just not authentic and it's weird. So don't do that. But definitely, you don't want to like hide the fact that you're a realtor. You want people to know that and kind of start to come to you and become the trusted resource. So for an example, because I was talking about target audience, let's say your target audience is a 50-year-old buyer with limited extra income in search of a second home. That audience, you probably won't find them on Instagram. They may be on Facebook because that seems to be where that audience is, or maybe on an online forum. And so that if that's the case, and that's who you want to target, you're not going to focus your efforts on Instagram. You're going to focus your efforts in LinkedIn and the forums and in Facebook, right? So you have to really be a little bit methodical about who your audience is to be able to curtail and make your lead generation focused on them. If anyone has questions, just stop me. I feel like I'm talking to a blank wall. So, okay.
No, this is great so far. Thank you, Britt.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for saying something. It's so hard, like when you're not in a classroom and everyone's just silent or has their cameras off. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going too fast or too slow, but anyway. Next step is become the trusted expert. So, you found your niche audience, you started to really lead gen towards them and really start to engage with them. You've joined their groups. Maybe it's a book club. Maybe it's, it could be a lot of different things. And if you have specific questions, I can give you like real good examples about stuff like that. But you need to become the trusted expert, because once everyone knows you're a realtor, they're going to ask you 10 million questions about the industry all the time. I have this one neighbor, I swear he's just trying to like catch me off guard to be like, haha, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, you know what I mean? So for him, I always know when I see him, I got to tell him something about the industry real quick, or he's going to like, come at me. So I think you need to educate yourself. You need to know the industry. And I think there's a chat. Oh, you're laughing. So you need to educate yourself, know the industry. You need to know the current market. It's important, even if you just, spend 5 minutes a day or, at the beginning of the week, kind of just catching up on the industry, read the paper, if you have a lender you like, talk to your lender, ask them what's happening in the market. Everyone always wants to know about interest rates, and we're not lenders. So it's really worthwhile to know that stuff, because that's tends to be what everyone asks me about. Know the historical market trends, like know that in Philadelphia, because everyone's scared about another recession, like Philadelphia didn't really feel the recession last time. So you should know that kind of stuff. You should know that Philadelphia retained its value. The reason it retained its value is because they weren't egregiously price gouging pre-recession. Philadelphia market and price points held steady through the recession, and leading up to it. People weren't price gouging. So it weathered the storm really well. And then coming out of the recession, we've seen 6% return on the investment year over year. Like, that's really good information to know. There's a good guy, if you haven't heard about him yet, that all of the real estate people kind of worship. His name's Kevin McGillen, and he's at the Lindy Institute at Drexel. And he posts a real estate quarterly update and then a yearly review. They are so amazingly detailed, but he really breaks it down into simple, like digestible bullet points as well, about Philadelphia real estate specifically. He breaks it down into single family homes, new construction, and condos. So if you look at nothing else, go look at his stuff. I think it's just well worth it to kind of know about Philadelphia market, if that's where you guys are focused. If it's not, then obviously you need to focus on the counties or whatever you're in. Most of our business is in Philadelphia. I do some work in the counties because I'm from Bucks County originally, and we tend to have a lot of younger families upgrading from more space out to like mainline and stuff like that. So we're kind of in both of those areas. You need to have an opinion. When people ask you stuff, they want to know what you think. So you need to have an opinion. You can't just be like, meh. And you need to play nice with others. Becoming a trusted expert also means having other agents know that you're going to be good to work with. Like, you carry your weight on the other end of that deal. The reason I say that is because if you go under contract with an agent and you're not carrying your weight, or you're being difficult, they're going to tell their clients that. And their clients are going to tell people like, oh my God, that buyer's agent, she was horrible. Like, if you're looking, don't ever go to her. Like, that news travels. Not really part of lead gen, but also dealing well with other agents means that if you're up in a competitive bid situation and that other agent actually likes working with you, you're going to get it. We've won so many from that, because the agent's just like, the other offer was pretty similar, but we know and love working with you guys. So I kind of push my clients that way. That's huge. Again, not part of lead gen, but just a little fact that I like to tell people about. You want to be the solution, right? You might not know all the answers right away, but you want to be able to give people what they're asking for in a timely manner. We talk about objection handling. It's the same as becoming a trusted expert. You need to know that like people are going to say X, and you need to know how to respond. So that's role playing. It's understanding your audience. It's being educated. It's multifaceted, but it's something to expect. And then you want to anticipate their needs, right? Like, if you're dealing with a lot of the clients like we are, who are, upgrading the home because they have 2 kids and they're sick of sitting, in their house without places to move around because of COVID, like, we know what their needs are. So we're, shifting our newsletter, shifting our posts, like going out to them and be like, hey, like, we have some new listings out here, just to kind of start dropping the nuggets, because we know that demographic is starting to move. Anticipating their needs means you're going to get the sale rather than sitting back and waiting for them to come to you. A lot of there's an interesting statistic, polling people who've bought homes, that I think it's like 70% of people said they will use their realtor again, but only 12% do. I'm messing up those numbers, but there's some big, difference between them, where everyone's like saying, yeah, I would absolutely use my agent again, but very few of them actually do. And the reason is that is the top of mind and all that stuff. So if you're anticipating needs and you're staying in touch with your sphere, and you're staying on top of that stuff, then they can't forget you. I think I mentioned this already, but if you find yourself getting stuck in a conversation about, the market or statistics or anything like that, just say, you know what, I haven't really read up on that, but like, let me take a look or talk to my lender or whatever, and I'll get right back to you, and then actually do it. I think it's okay not to know, but it's not okay not to follow up, right? You want to make sure you educate yourself after that and then follow up with a response. The trusted CRM. I think everyone bashes their heads against the wall with CRMs. The funny thing that everyone says is the best CRM is the one you use. It's true. It's annoying, but it's true. I don't know if you guys are using Command, but we do. As we're a small team, we use Command, and we've switched now to CRMs before Command came out because we had to have like a holdover one, and then Command was coming, and we tried to switch, but it wasn't ready, and then we had to go back. Anyway, we're on Command now. If you're not going to the Command labs, you should. You can learn a lot. CRMs are great though, and anyone in sales, whether it's real estate or anything, will tell you that they live and die by their CRM. The reason is your brain can't hold all of the information about every single human ever. When you start to do, 75 transactions a year, and then your client calls and you're like, I don't even remember what house you bought. Like, I know that sounds horrible, but it really happens. And so being able to like go back in and see all of the details of like, what's your dog's name and how many kids do you have? So you know that like Sally's starting first grade next year, and are you so excited? Are you ready for school? Are you happy with the schools? Or, I don't know, my client gave birth 5 years ago or 4 years ago. I'm messaging them now saying like, hey, have you like thought about schools? Like, what are you doing? And that's resulted in some sales, right? So being able to track that stuff is huge. CRMs are great because it's safe storage of your information. There used to be a method that a lot of more old school agents used, and it was like the note card method, where it was physically writing out all of their information on note cards and putting them in like a file box, and they were divided by time. There was a really cool method to divide them, but like you would work through like, your A's and then your B's and your C's, and then you would sort them by the timeline that they bought or tag them differently. So you could pull out like all of your 2017 buyers and all of your 2018 buyers and check in on them like on a regular basis. Well, thank God we don't have to write all that stuff down now. You just put it in your CRM. So using tags is super important. I sort all of my stuff by a lot of different things, but what the year that they bought or sold, if they have kids or not, what neighborhoods they're in, if they were a buyer, a seller, a landlord, a tenant, a referral. We just track all of this stuff so that when I have like this, I don't know, brilliant marketing idea, I can go in and go, okay, well, the only people that want to hear about this are X, and I can find them. We do 4 events a year. Obviously, it's going to be a little different this year, but we usually do 4 like big events where we invite clients to, and 2 of them are all clients, and then 2 of them are more niche, and we invite specific clients to specific things that make sense for who they are and what they like. And it turns out it like really creates good buzz and a good turnout because we know our clients and we know what they like. And when you do that kind of stuff, it just really creates a big buzz. For us, obviously the social media is huge. So we try to create like Instagrammable events where people are like posting constantly, which creates a lot of buzz and business for us. In the CRM, you can quickly target those people. You can get ahead of your clients' needs. You can really cut down on admin work, depending on where you guys are in your business. Once you get to 25 transactions, you really should be hiring an admin. But until that point, the CRM can help cut down on a lot of the admin work. And it helps you know what your customers really want if you're using the database for its full potential. And you can save money. I mean, a lot of the stuff I talked about, like, costs money to throw events. It costs money to market. It costs money. And if you're really drilling into who your clients are, you're saving money in the long run because you're only sending stuff that's relevant to them, not to the whole. Our database is ridiculously large, and you're not sending stuff to them. Another tidbit on the CRM or your database is really break your clients up into like clients and referrals into like A, B, and C categories. Your A is these people, you may never do a deal with them, but they are like your mayors. They refer everyone to you. They are your champions. They fall in the A category. B clients are like, they send you someone once in a while. C clients are like those people that like you know what, I probably will never hear from them again, but I got to stay in touch with them, right? And you kind of break it up like that. So then you focus your attention on the top A, you know, people first, then your B, then your C. And it helps save a lot of money in the long run because you're not just sending everything to everyone again. My tip on this one is just live in your database. So in Command, I set a lot of like reminders and tasks for myself. I put people on smart plans. We've created a ton of our own smart plans. And it just reminds me like when I have to call someone or when I have to text someone or when I have to shoot someone an email. We're also setting up automatic emails to go out. So like for an example, I have a huge tenant network. I represent a rental listing portfolio of like 150 units. So every month we're getting like 300 rental leads. That's a lot, right? And like no one can keep up with that. So, and most tenants that are replying to that stuff are just clicking on like 30 things. So like I don't expect to hear from all of them. We're on like probably about a 5% conversion on the initial email, which is pretty good. But we started putting them on a drip campaign. So I follow up with them with like an auto email of like, here's all of our available units. You can click here to schedule a showing immediately. And then if I don't hear from them, they get that 2 more times. And then they get dropped onto a smart plan where they get followed up with. Because I know what time of year they're looking for a rental. I might not get them this time around, but I might get them the next time around. So we keep dripping on them throughout the year. We check in 3 months, we check in 6 months. We say, hey, you're about halfway through the year. Are you going to start looking for something, you know, in 3 months? 3 months later, we send them another email and say, hey, you're 9 months out, you know, you're 9 months in now. Your 60-day notice is coming up in a month. What's your plan? Are you moving? Can we help you? Are you thinking about buying? Like that's where we start doing all of that stuff. So those are just really good ways that we use our CRM to follow up and stay on top of people that reach out to us. Let's see, reviews. As you start to close business, it's really important that you start to get testimonials to support your efforts. You can repeatedly tell someone you're the best and you give the best service, but until those words are substantiated by someone else, they kind of don't really count. So you want to encourage your clients to review you or your company. It's really an easy way to expand your reach, and reviews also help with your SEO. So for us, the more reviews we get online, the more SEO and more driven to the top of searches that we come. So like we're pretty high up in Yelp searches. I hate Yelp, but I send people there to leave reviews. I hate Zillow. I don't want them to have my business or my information, but people look for reviews there. So we have people do it there. What we do is after we close a transaction, we send a handwritten thank you note. Obviously, we give gifts at settlement, but we also send a handwritten thank you note to agents and all of the vendors that were included in our transaction. And we send a follow-up email to our clients asking them to review us. And we literally say, we would love if you had great service. You know, we don't send it to people that were like a terrible transaction because I don't want them to. We don't have many of those, but we have a few once in a while. You wouldn't want to send it to them. But you send it to everyone who loves you and you know will sing your praises. And we just thank them for their business and say one last task, because obviously they had to do a ton of stuff to get to settlement. One last request, and we say, if you feel so compelled, can you please leave a review? And for extra credit points, can you copy and paste that review here? And we drop all of the links. So all they have to do is click and drop their review, and it leaves a review right away. Most of our clients do that and will leave a review in 5 different places for us because it takes, 4, 5 extra clicks for them, and they're just copying and pasting the review over. That has helped us tremendously have 5-star reviews on Zillow, 5-star reviews on Google, 5-star reviews on Yelp, every place that every place that people can leave a review, we link. So that's just a thought on something you guys can do. That was my tip, make it easier. Oh, and incentivize. So we don't always get everyone to leave a review because people get busy and just forget. So we'll send reminders every once in a while. And then usually like once a year or twice a year, we'll send a contest for people who haven't left reviews yet. We'll say, if you leave a review between, up through May or June or whatever, we'll go pull all the reviews, enter you in a raffle to win, $100 gift card to a Steven Star restaurant or something like that. So that's how we incentivize people to leave reviews. And we don't do it often, but enough to go collect the people who kind of were lingering and wanted to leave us a review, but just forgot. I had a client 2 weeks ago leave me a review from a sale that happened 2.5 years ago. So, Um, consistency. Everything that we're doing here is important that you remain consistent. Consistency is key. People, might see your post 1, 2, 3 times, but when it becomes like a staple, they're going to go look for it. So if you're doing market update Mondays, they're going to come to your, Instagram to look at your market update every Monday. Or if you're sending a newsletter and you've set the newsletter to go once a month, like you better be sending it the same time every month, and it better be consistent, right? Like our newsletter follows a formula. You're welcome to subscribe to it if you want to see what we do. But our newsletters, we send them out twice a week, one on Monday and one on Friday. It seems like a lot. And we started with one, but we get, anywhere from a 20 to 22% open rate on all of our newsletters, which is actually pretty high for a newsletter. During COVID shutdown, we were getting closer to a 50% open rate on our Friday newsletter versus the Monday. That's important for something I'm going to talk about later, but being consistent, setting the expectations so that your clients and people who follow you know what they're going to get every single time. It's like going to a restaurant, right? Like if you find your favorite restaurant and every time you go there, the service and quality is different, like you're not going to go back there because it's just not the same and you don't know what you're going to get. Same applies here. Consistency allows for measure. It creates accountability for you to your clients and to your audience. It establishes your relationship. Again, people keep coming back looking for this one thing that you do all the time. It'll build this. I know someone that does like a 30-second video every Monday for their market update, and people just click on it and watch it every Monday because they just want to know what's going on. And when he doesn't post it, they send him messages asking if he's okay. Like, did something happen? So we know people are watching even if they're not engaging, because when you skip it, they check in. If our newsletter goes out late, we get, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 10 messages asking if our newsletter is coming. Like, it's wild. Consistency makes you relevant. If you're only sporadically sharing stuff, like you're not relevant because people don't think you know what the hell you're talking about. Consistency maintains your message. All of what we're doing, like even if you're just an individual agent, you're creating your brand. And if you don't have a brand identity and you're not consistent in that message, then it isn't actually a brand. And my tip here is being consistent is the difference between failure and success. And we truly believe that. And everything we do, every transaction, we try to treat the same, with the same consistency. Everyone can expect honesty, integrity, loyalty, and service, quality service from us. That's not to say that like someone who's doing a $1,000 rental with us is going to get the same service as $1 million listing. Like, of course not. That would be ludicrous to say so, but they're still going to get, the same check-ins, the same, follow up and follow through as everyone else. And our marketing is the same way. So, and then you want to add value. I talked about this in a couple different aspects, but, you can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but unless you're bringing something to the table or bringing something new, or providing value, then what's the point? You're just taking up space. Gary Keller says that we're seeing a fast track to disruption. With that, he's saying that the real estate industry is being disrupted, and disruption is buzzwords, of course. Like if you follow any kind of tech news, everyone wants to disrupt everything. But people are becoming more and more educated in real estate and how it works. They have access to more and more data every day. So you still have to figure out how to provide value in the real estate world when so much is at people's fingertips. And they can go online and Google like the process of a transaction, or, they can figure out their own comps in a lot of areas. I mean, estimates are terrible, but a lot of people rely on them. So what are you doing to add value? Simplicity is important. You don't want to overcomplicate the process. You want to be authentic. I've talked about that quite a lot. Be who you are, not what you think a real estate agent should be. Real estate agents have a bad rap, and rightfully so. There's some really bad apples that make it look like we're a bunch of slimy people. So being authentic is huge. I have clients that were going under contract for a house that was like $650,000. I literally showed them houses twice, so I haven't put a ton of effort into it. And the agent on the other side of it is kind of being a jerk. And was trying to squeak out another $5,000. Well, at a $650,000 purchase, $5,000 is like a drop in the bucket in mortgage dollars. Like it's nothing. And my clients just kind of were drawing the line in the sand to be principled and like, no, we met them on every other term. I'm not going to do that. So because I hadn't spent so much time with my clients, I was like, look, guys, if $5,000 is the make or break to get this deal done, like I'll split it with you. I'll give you part of it from my commission. And they said they actually were so impressed. They were like, no, not only are we not going to take that, he was only offering 2.5%. If we get the house, we'll cover the other 0.5% for you, just because of how authentic you were and genuine you were about this. So it proves it's valuable to be authentic. And you want to build trust. I have other clients who seriously got cold feet recently. So before our inspection, they wanted to go out and look at another house, even though we were under contract on one. And I went and I had a really candid talk with them about like, guys, like, I'm not going to push you into anything because it's not about this one transaction. It's about the relationship. I know you're going to buy a house. Like, so it doesn't matter to me if it happens today or, 2 months from now. The point is that I want you to feel confident in your decision and know that I back you, whatever that is. And they've sent me 3 referrals already. Like that is important because I'm being authentic and genuine. Like anytime you're being desperate or trying to push something on someone, it's just not going to be good. You're not adding value. You're not being supportive. To even go another step further outside of the transaction, like in our newsletters, we try to bring information about the city, information about the market, and any other kind of pertinent information about world news, Philadelphia news, country news. Like, we've been really talking about the Black Lives Matter movement a lot in our newsletter. We just felt like it wouldn't be authentic and we wouldn't be bringing value to our followers if we didn't talk about things that are important that are happening in this world. Like, we have a platform and our platform is a major vehicle and driver for our success. And we have, 6,000 subscribers to our newsletter. Like, it would be incredibly inauthentic and tone deaf if we didn't talk about this stuff. And we knew that. So we put our real estate on pause and really switched our newsletter over to support the cause and to really have an opinion and take a stance. And those things to us are adding value. And whether you agree with what's happening or not, like, or even this doesn't have to be the specific example, like really bringing value and taking a stance and talking about things is important. And as you build your brand, you need to recognize that and maintain the brand messaging that way. I went off on a tangent there. Sorry. Again, don't just take up space. You want to bring something to it. You can't just exhaust hot air like I'm doing on these slides. Okay, so we have our audience. We've started our lead generating. You figured out like where to find them online or what networking things you want to go to or how you're going to communicate with them. Well, then you have to experiment and test, right? You can't just like make a fast and hard decision and say, that's it, I'm never changing, right? Like that's silly. People change, people receive things differently. So a lot of this experimenting testing, I can go into a lot on this, but simple like changes to tweaking like your messaging on a post or your messaging on your headline in newsletters. So like if you we do this sometimes where we're testing a newsletter, we might send out, instead of to our entire 6,000, we might send out one headline to 200 people and another headline to another 200 people and see what kind of open rate we get before we send out the whole thing. And whatever one works the best, then we send out the one that had the higher open rate to the rest of the group. So that's called A/B testing. So you try posting at different times a day, right? If you realize that your audience is social media driven, well, you want to try to figure out what times of day that they're actually checking things and looking at things. So you have to test to see what kind of engagement you get. Same with if you're doing like calling, email, texting, or even snail mail. If you're doing like mailers, you want to test this. So like you try calling or emailing or texting at different times a day. You try figuring out in that demographic who responds to what. Like if you're working with, millennials, chances are you're probably not going to get them to answer the phone at 7 a.m. It's just not going to happen. So, you might not even get them to answer the phone at all. So texting might be that vehicle that you use with them. And if you're using Facebook ads, try using dark posts first. You can do like a small spend on dark posts to see what kind of response rate you get before actually publishing it to your audience. It tests it in other audiences. You want to test the color of your call to action buttons on your pages. So if you have a website or a newsletter and you want people to, I don't know, fill out a survey or click here for something, you want to test out the colors of those. And you want to continuously test your audience's engagement to things you're doing and saying. Like if you are consistently trying this market update Monday and you've done it for 3 months straight and people aren't responding, move it to a different day and see if you get more responses. And don't be afraid to try something new or different, and just monitor the results. And you can't do something once and expect it to work. So you have to be consistent again. Experimenting and testing can also be experimenting and testing with your demographics, right? Like if you think you want to increase your price point and start going after buyers in the $600,000 and up range, and you've, kind of come up with who that audience is and that demographic, maybe you test that out. And if you're not seeing results there, like keep pushing for it, but like don't give up your bread and butter piece too, right? Like if you're going from 250 to 600, maybe you take an incremental step there and experiment and test in the $400,000 price range and try to go after those people first. I hope I'm like covering a bunch of stuff here, so I hope it's enough.
Oh, hey, Britt, real quick. What is a Facebook dark post? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, so Facebook has a dark mode post where you can test out your, not like a post, like if you're doing an ad buy or something like that, you can test out your ad and response rate before making the full spend and sending it out. So,
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Is that enough or anything more?
That's perfect.
Cool. And then in the beginning, I talked about this, but I still put it at the end. You want to start with the end goal first. You want to use Keller Williams has tons of resources. I'm sure if you guys, I don't know how long you've been here, but it's like drinking from a fire hose, and you kind of have to like pick and choose what works for you, and kind of really go with it. It's the same with lead gen. It's the same with picking your niche and your market. But a lot of the tools that we use are 411s. So our team fills out 411s before our monthly team meeting, because we do one-on-ones. It's really good because it helps you set goals for the month, and it breaks it down into personal and professional. So it's a nice little tool. GPS is just what it sounds like, but it's a tool that KW offers. It's like a planning tool to help you goal set for the year, the quarter, the months, and then the days. And then read the book. If anyone doesn't know what I'm referring to, it's the MREA. If you don't have a copy, you should. If you haven't read it, you absolutely should. If you haven't read it multiple times, you should do that too. Anytime I'm like thinking about making some kind of move in our business or thinking about implementing something, I go there first just to see like, does it fit the model? Because a lot of real estate, is based off of models and systems. And if you don't have to spend the time reinventing the wheel, why would you? There's a new MREA 2 is coming out, and we've based a lot of our team decisions off of that because we've gotten previews of it. So for us, we've added a showing agent because we do work with a lot of buyers. I can't be in 18 places at once because currently I'm working with about 25 buyers at the same time. So we added a showing agent to help offset some of that, and that's working out really well. But that's in the book. Also, if you're thinking about like how you want to lead gen and what kind of model you should follow, there's 4 different models in there for lead gen and how to structure your business and how to work backwards from it. And also you want to stick with the plan. So follow the methods and the systems. And I think people repeatedly say that over and over and over again. And the reason is because other people that we're saying it to don't look at the systems and the models. They just think they get it. And they're like, yeah, okay. We, on our team, are very strict about when we bring new people on, they don't officially join our team till they get through our 30, 60, 90 we have implemented for our team. So first 30 days, they have to do, these things. Within the 60 days, they have to do these things. Within 90 days, they have to do these things. Even if you're not joining a team, like maybe put those into place for yourself, right? So you have these check boxes of like, okay, I need to watch all of the command stuff so I know how to use command. So I need to watch the videos and attend those classes. I need to go to all the introductory classes at the brokerage so I can feel confident and know how to do these things. I need to find, someone to shadow on an open house or on showing. So I know, like, I don't know, how do you do this, right? Like we get licensed, and none of what you're getting licensed for teaches you how to be a realtor. Just teaches you how not to break the law and how to be ethical. Like that's not helpful when you like have your first client and you're like, what do I do? So, you want to do those things. And like, that's how we break our team goals down into 30, 60, 90. And once they make it through the 90 days, we sit down and talk about, okay, how do you feel? Do you think this is a good fit for you? Do you think, and then we say the same thing, is it a good fit for us? And then we have them do 411s and GPSs. So we know like their end goal. Like if they tell me they want to make $100,000 a year, I'm like, okay, well, here's what that looks like. And I can tell you exactly how many calls you need to make a week, exactly how many appointments you need to set a week, like we can work backwards from that. So if you know like your dollar amount, you work backwards and then you set your daily and weekly tasks to achieve those goals, and you make them SMART goals. They're small and attainable and accessible, right? And that is what feeds into the lead gen. And then you just rinse and repeat and keep doing it. It's like a hamster wheel, right? You get off and the wheel stops spinning, right? It's the same with lead gen. It's the same in real estate. And I called it the roller coaster because in real estate, you have peaks and valleys in your business. And the idea is that you want to get onto a level plane always. So the peaks and valleys are, okay, I work really hard to get a lead. I have a lead. I'm working the lead. But guess what? I forgot that I still need to keep lead genning. So I'm working this lead. Oh, good. We're under contract. And then we close. And now we're down in the valley because I don't have any more leads. So I got to start building back up again. Okay. Got a lead. I'm going to work this lead. Oh crap. They closed. Now I don't have another lead. So it's this constant like thing of working on your visit. This is my why. That's my family, by the way. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you guys can see me again. So I think the biggest thing is like figuring out your why, figuring out how much you want to make a year, and then working backwards from there to figure out how many sales you need to do and at what price point to get yourself in there. And to be able to do that, how many calls do I need to make? How many appointments do I need to set? How many deals do I need to have going all at the same time? And you can't forget that when you're working with someone, you still need to be working on your business. It's working on your business and working in your business. In your business is working with your clients. On your business is building up your client database and building up your pipeline. And those are the two things that you really need to focus on all the time. Like you can't stop on either. The end.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Britt, so much for your perspective and all of the interesting information that you included. I think that this is definitely like super helpful. I was kind of wondering because there was, I've taken a bunch of the KW training since I started in August, and there was kind of like a gap as far as like trainings that really dealt with like digital marketing and like what sort of like metrics you should look for and how to use social media effectively. Because I think people our age are really, we're all glued to our phones as devices, not really as phones anymore. So I was definitely, to like for full disclosure, I work for Philly's Key Team, and there's definitely sort of like an admiring sense of competition where it's just like we see like these ladies, they just like, they started in real estate like pretty recently, but they bang out this like $30 million in revenue in a year. How, what are the steps? Like, what's their secret sauce? Like, what's their method for doing it? And one thing that's definitely clear from your training and also from Brittany's training is that, you have a really great grasp on digital marketing, how to use marketing metrics effectively, how to connect to your audiences. And really, I think like starting your day with the social medias and just responding to comments, responding to social posts, and just being really open and engaging really seems to bring that audience trust forward. And really, you guys do a great job. It's awesome to see you at, the top of the leaderboard every month and really doing a good job at what you do. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise. I think that this, this is really helpful as far as like really organizing our thoughts about like how how you do segmentation and targeting for audiences,
Yeah.
and really incorporating that. So
It's interesting because Brittany and I are very complementary in what we do. I'm really more operations and systems driven, and she's really more like the creative marketing, all of that kind of stuff driven. And because I come from this like tech background, a lot of what I do is just very like, it has to fit and be methodical, right? And a lot of what she does is like feeling based and organic, and it's very complementary. For me, I think, you're talking about these like demographics, and really what it is, and if you want to dig into it a little bit further, it's building personas. Right. So if you're building personas within your business, and like, okay, you guys have a range of demographics on your, like, who you guys cater to, because I see your listings, right? So there's like a wide range here. So they're not all the same person, right? And like, if those lower price points ones, like, who are those people? If that's who you want to keep working with, you need to really define who they are. If you really want to keep targeting the higher price points, who are those people? What do they look like? What do they do? It might be multiple categories up there. And if that's the case, then you really need to define those aspects of those personas, and then start positioning yourself towards them directly, right? Like Brittany and I, we talk about our price point, and like we're averaging at like $425 is like our kind of our price point right now. Last year we were probably more in like the $354 mark, and we kind of bumped up. I think we're really trying to go closer to $600, at least for our deals, like being like around the 600 category or above. And that is like really trying to position ourselves to those people. Who are those people? Like a lot of them are double income, no kids, dinks, right? Like, so what do those people look like? What do they do, right? Like, so a lot of our like social engagement goes around that, and that's kind of how we base it. And then the other second sequitur of that demographic is the people that are upgrading, right? The upgrade. So they already own a home, right? And so what do they look like? Who are those people? What are their motivators? Is it school? Is it more space? If it's more space, like what does that, So that's kind of my best advice to you guys, is like, just really look at where you want to go, build out very detailed personas of those people, and then start to strategically, market to them.
Sure. Thank you so much. I think,
of course.
I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad we have this, it's a collaborative competition. It's
for, Brittany and I are always of the mindset of like, we never want to steal anyone's pieces of the pie. We just want to grow the pie. And I think, KW allows that, because we are so collaborative and we can share so much information and learn from each other. So it's super helpful. We are learning all the time from KW people, and we're always picking people's brains, and just like, it might not apply to us, but at least understanding what people are doing kind of helps us, form our mindset and really pick a direction for ourselves. So
absolutely. Yeah. I think, the brokerage definitely sort of, it's a big enough pie for everybody, especially, if we consider our out brokerage competition at Berkshire and Redfin and EXP and Wycart. They have a good, I live in East Mount Airy right now. So, like we have a good presence from like Elephant, Wissahickon and Wycart. Getting KW in here is definitely sort of a market search. So, it's definitely, it's a big pie, and we all can get a chunk, Yeah,
for sure. Riley, I know you're kind of just starting out, so if you have questions, you can reach out to me directly. Tiffany, I'm not sure where you are in your business, but same goes. I'm pretty accessible. I'm just Britt at shemovesphilly.com, BRITT. And my Instagram is Britt Moves Philly, and we're all over the brokerage, so you guys can find us pretty easily. And my business,
I'm going to go check you out when we hang up. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope you all
appreciate it.
The rest of your day.
I will. I got so much out of this hour, so I do. I appreciate it. Have a good time down the shore.
Thanks.
You too, guys. Have a great day. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, Riley. Thank you again, Britt. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Good to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you too.
All right, bye.
Bye.